all right. It is time for our daily midday catch up because a lot goes on. A lot. So, yes, the Papal Conclave is still full underway. Um, Things are going to run a little bit slower because they do have, one could say, a record amount that are participating in this voting. So we're just waiting to see if it's going to be dark smoke, white smoke, what's going to be. Um, so right now, give me just a second, just a second. I am pulling up the feed just in case if it does come through while we're chit chatting, we will know. You know what? I should move it over here so I can actually share it. There we go. All right. So those joining me on Substack, hey, thank you for joining. Those joining me on YouTube, hey, thank you for joining. Also keep in mind that today is Wednesdays for the podcast Conversation with Taz on YouTube. Today's guest, the Angry Proletariat, will be joining me. We're going to discuss, are we taking care of our own and how are we doing it? So that happens at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central on YouTube. Please join. And also today's Learning Through Black Literature, we will be continuing with Savage Inequalities, the book that will happen on Substack. That will be from 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central to 8. So see you there. Now let's get into the headlines for the midday. So much. Did we start? No, we didn't. I'm on the wrong day. Sorry about that. Okay. And this is coming from Fox News. I know. But let's get through it. Speaker Johnson gives verdict on House plan to impeach judges blocking Trump. I mean, they don't want to upgrade anything else. Might as well upgrade fascism, right? House Speaker and GOP sneaky link Mike Johnson, Republican out of Louisiana, signaled that there is little appetite for judicial impeachments among House Republican leaders. No, because most House Republican leaders are legacy leaders or trying to form a legacy of their own, and they really don't want that attached to them. They will do a lot. They will follow Trump a lot of places. But to hell, that seems to be the line in the sand that they draw. He said a bill passed by the House earlier this year aimed at limiting federal district judges from issuing nationwide injunctions in most cases was a silver bullet against activist judges. Johnson refused to pull impeachment off the table indefinitely when pressed by Fox News Digital, but he cautioned that there was a high bar for such maneuvers, while noting that getting enough votes to impeach in the House and remove in the Senate is an uphill battle itself. No shit, Sherlock. Nobody wants to go down in the history book for removing a judge because they understand history from how it has played out previously. Whew. Okay, this shirt's getting a little snug. Look, impeachments are never off the table if it's merited. I know one particular impeachment that is merited. There are some judicial impeachments that have been merited for a few years, because lying during one's confirmation hearing is an impeachable offense. When you do that multiple times, you should be impeached and removed. And it's not like we haven't impeached and removed people from SCOTUS or even a federal judgeship before. I'm just saying. But in our system, we've had 15 federal judges impeached in the entire history of this country. I mean, there may be some that I feel merit that, but You've got to get the votes for it, right? And it's a very high burden, Johnson said. Mm, mm, is it though? It's a high burden at this point because you all want people impeached that just won't let Trump have his way. They just won't let Trump run amok, amok, amok. And really, Johnson, you're not really pushing for them to let Trump run amok, 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 because you all know Trump has no loyalty. In the Tangerine Isles, there is no loyalty. And by the way, even if we could get an impeachment article through the House on a federal judge, it's unlikely that they would be tried and convicted in the Senate on that with the divided number we have. So, sort of short of that, what can we do? Here's the thing. I am enjoying the Republicans trying to play their constituency like the fools that they are. What do I mean by that? The GOP, especially the MAGA branch of GOP, control all of the federal government right now. They are the federal government. They have the upper hand. When they realize that Trump has gone too far, they just won't say it publicly. They just come up with these excuses. Oh, well, the Democrats won't let us do it. There's no way for us to get this passed. We just can't do it. You have the numbers to do it. You just know this isn't what you should do. And how about you just be honest? Be honest with your constituency, and you can take the foot off your own fucking neck. I will never understand people within the United States' ability and willingness to create your own hindrances, to build your own stumbling blocks, and then cry over what you put before you. I've said this before like this. Let me say it again. It is like you purchasing a house, and we're going to take the HOA off the table right now. This is like you purchasing a house, you setting the rules for the house, and then you sitting there going, I don't like these rules. I really hate these rules. I don't understand why the rules are in place. They're just not comfortable for me. Hello, Linda. What's not clicking, Linda? What's not clicking? You created the rules. Change the rules. You gave this person the ability to do this to you. You put these people in power over you. Trump has no more elections to run for. Your voter base does. It is better for you to educate them now than them to educate you later at the ballot box. Because it really doesn't matter how much money you throw into an election. Like, y'all really need to stop all this campaigning and fundraising, because it does not matter how much money y'all throw into a campaign. Unless you're putting cold hard cash in our hands, we've already made up our minds who we're going to vote for and who we aren't. People have hour-long think pieces and think tanks regarding this bullshit. People will figure it out. There are people who vote like they pick teams during March Madness. Okay, according to what color they had on that looks pretty, who looks manly to them, who looks girly enough, whose last name is close enough to the last name of their one true love. I wish I was joking, but I'm not. Oh, thank you. You're fine, Michael. Well, that's how it goes. Now, do I think that we know that they're not going to be successful in impeaching a federal judge? Absolutely not. I wish they would finally get rid of the one. Well, no, there's more than one DEIA hire on SCOTUS, but the most prominent one, Clarence Thomas. And before you go, but Taz, you're a black woman. Why are you saying? First of all, Clarence Thomas is a card carrying member of the Contesta Coalition Committee. Okay. He gets pimped out by his wife so much. They are the quintessential slave master, slave owner couple. They are the embodiment of a fetishization transactional relationship, hands down. Look into their relationship. You will see what I'm telling you is the truth. But Clarence Thomas was nominated simply because he was a black man. Thurgood Marshall was no longer a member of SCOTUS. He was no longer on SCOTUS. And unfortunately, they just like, oh, well, we must replace the black man with another black man. Not someone who was fully qualified, not someone who had the same ideals or the same track record as Marshall. Nope, just a black man. That was good enough. And look where we are now. The grand poobah of corruption, showing that he is willing to be bought and sold more than anybody featured in Roots. Mhm. Now, as I said, the papal conclave is underway. We should be getting the results of the first vote at any moment. You see me looking off. One, this is live on both YouTube and on Substack, but I do have updates going over on this side. So that's what I'm looking over at from time to time. But with that being said, coming from CNN, why Pisabala, Jerusalem's first cardinal and an advocate for peace, could be a long shot contender for Pope, outside of the fact that he's from Israel. Cardinal Pierbattista Pisabala, the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, cuts an unmistakable figure in the dark corridors of the ancient stone patriarchate in this troubled corner of the world. He moves quickly in long, deliberate strides that seems of his black cassock billowing like a like a swimmer's stroke ahead of his arrival. He was born in Bergamo, northern Italy, but after 35 years immersed in the concerns of his flock here, he says, I have no idea what people in Italy are talking about most of the time. His elderly mother still ties him to the land of his birth. Well, when you move, that's kind of how that happens, unless you're just an uber gossip. And your job is to care about the people in the closest proximity to you. Why would you bring that up? Why would you? Why would you? Okay. One of those topics of conversation in the halls of Vatican City is Pizzaballa himself. Younger by a decade than the candidates considered frontrunners, Jerusalem's first ever cardinal has nevertheless emerged as an intriguing possibility, thrust into the spotlight by the same one Cheza that has compelled him to confront difficult questions about faith and humanity. No, he hasn't confronted anything. And don't come for me. Listen, uh, he is an Italian man who is now in Israel. He hasn't spoken up too much because the truth of what's been happening in Israel still isn't at the forefront. The attack that happened months before under the first Trump presidency was quiet. The attack that happened that happened years before. And then the attack that happened months before that October 7th was the retaliation for cause and effect. Let's put full context on this. That wasn't talked about. This is a gentleman who would be aware of the lies that BB from Philly tells. This would be a gentleman who would be privy to how their votes are manipulated over there so that they can continue to fill the seats of the World Zionist Congress. Yes, that's a thing. Without the people actually having a vote for it. They think that they're just voting for their representation within Israel. And where's he speaking up about the war criminals running Israel? And why are you an implant in another person in another people's land? Hmm. Why weren't you speaking up about entire families being wiped off the planet? Let's continue. Every man of faith has questions, including myself, Pisabala said in an interview less than 2 weeks before Pope Francis's death. Pope Francis did more for the people over there and checking on them than you did. Don't seem like you know much about any scuttlebutt regarding anybody. But okay. You are so frustrated from the situation and you ask, where are you to God? Where are you? Then I come to myself and I understand the question should be, where is man now? What have we done with our humanity? Here's the thing, God is in those that are observant and obedient to Him, i.e., those of the Christian faith. And if you have been called by God, not that you called yourself for the sake of ego, then you should have been there because you were to be in the service of God. But you wouldn't be in that Israel because the Israel in the Bible, whether Protestant Bible or Catholic Bible or the apocryphic Bible, that's not the Israel that they. But studying to show thyself approved by God seems to be an allergy nowadays. But who am I to point that out? You know what you know, no good. So, we cannot consider God guilty of what we are doing, he said. No, but you were a piss poor representation. As my mother used to say, when you leave the house, you represent the family. She was talking about the core family. And depending on where we went, it's the extended family. It's like working for a subsidiary of a corporation. Yes, you represent that subsidiary, but when people connect the dots to the corporation, you also represent them. So, how are you representing your chosen deity? It's amazing that Christians have so much pushback and want to point the fingers here, 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 and here. And by Christians, y'all know the tyrannical version of Christianity that I'm speaking on. If you're not a hit dog, don't come over here hollering. Because let us not forget, I am nice, I am kind, I am not benevolent. I am not Jesus H. Christ, I am not his daddy, the unnamed Lord of Lords. Okay? I am Taz, the Queen Sheba of heathens. Okay, I will be your 13th through 23rd reason why. Keep it cute, play nice. Pisabala, who turned 60 last month, arrived in Jerusalem aged 25, a priest in his first month of service. He had grown up in such poverty that a consideration in his choice to enter a monastic setting was that his family would have one less mouth to feed. I know a bunch of y'all like, oh, that's so noble. No, I would throat punch my child. I would fucking throat punch my child. So you're an able-bodied adult that could help us get out of this situation. But instead of working cooperatively with us or setting up a cooperative service where you're from to help not just your family but those around you, because you understand, because you lived through the circumstances that caused this level of poverty, you're just going to leave so that they can continue to struggle just with one less mouth. Because once you join this organization, you are essentially going to be taken care of because you're getting paid. Ooh, the stinginess of these so-called super Christians, these super saints. Slap a cape on them because that's all they're good for. What did Edna say? No more capes. Put capes on all of them. Let them get sucked up in it. You know. But principally, he was inspired by a local cycling priest who brought joy and life of the spirit into the growing boy's world. So once again, all of your inspiration, all of you were in the perfect place to make change, but you decided to leave. What were you trying to reinvent yourself away from? If the general public knew anything about Pisabala ahead of the death of Pope Francis, is that we didn't know him. You witnessing a genocide. Like you got front row seats to it. Like it's the Cowboy Carter tour. And we don't know you. Sorry. I guess that's a recap from when they closed the doors. I was like, oh, did they open the doors? So still no smoke regarding the conclave. Uh, it was about a gesture that he considered so obvious as to be almost meaningless. This motherfucker about to make me not even want pizza anymore, let alone a pizza roll. He makes me want to get on the flight and throat punch him. He He make me want to leave the place I'm in and get real violent with you. 9 days into the Israel-Gaza war and 2 weeks into his tenure as cardinal, he offered himself in exchange for the Israeli children who had been taken hostage by Hamas on October 2nd. Those that have been with me through this whole thing, I think, done an impeccable job of covering all of this. His name has not come up once. Not to mention, I'm about to say something that y'all gonna want to push back on, but I'm gonna need y'all to calm the fuck down and actually listen. Why y'all always want to save people that can't protect the land? I'm not being mean. I'm not saying sacrifice the children, but why are you always on the forefront of taking children? If these children were taken with their parents, why would you remove them from their parents? Because who's going to take care of them? Who can you trust to properly take care of these kids? Why not advocate for, hey, I will give myself up for you to let these kids and their mothers and fathers go? Not just the children and the mother, the unit, because y'all keep screaming unit, 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 unit. Because if you get the women and the children and you kill off the men, then you're gonna forever fuck with them kids and them women. Oh, yeah, look at you, single mother. Oh, why don't you have a husband? Because he in the ground or floating up in the sky with Sky Daddy. I don't. But why do you advocate for people who you already view as a drain on society that none of you all are going to welcome into your home and take care of? I really, I, mm, I, yes, Jay, a throat punch. Sometimes people need just a good to the throat, to the jugular. Okay, some people need their Adam's apple relocated to someplace else in the neck. Okay, then they know don't do that shit again. That was not a good idea. You know, you got soft parenting and you got get your ass together expeditiously. I am a fan of get your ass together expeditiously. So still no smoke, but at least the seagull moved. Responding to a query and a closed call with Vatican Pool reporters intended to discuss his historic appointment, Pisabala simply, I am prepared for an exchange, anything, if this can lead to freedom to bring the children home. There is total willingness on my part. Why weren't you willing to do some shit before? You're Catholic. You're a priest, cardinal, whatever you want to call it. Here's the thing. Jesus, Jesus, Yahweh, was a Palestinian Jewish man. Now he was a little bratty, okay, running around. He was the pinnacle of Black Air Force energy. You're not my real dad. That argue with your shepherd at your preferred church and or synagogue. Yes, he was. If you really read the Bible, Jesus, Jesus, on my last nerves. He was going into tabernacles, flipping everything over. Talking about, not in my father's house. Y'all can't tell me what to do. You're not my real father. That's why you got the ultimate whooping. They made you carry your whole collection of switches up the hill. They strung you high and wide. You got the ultimate whooping because you couldn't keep it together. You was a brat. You was running around like can't nobody tell me nothing. My daddy owned all of this, and we gonna send you to the upper room. hmm So you couldn't, piece of Bali, you couldn't think of anything else to do. You couldn't think of anything else to do before you get. Mm. It was a strange question, he recalled, but he meant his answer very seriously. I didn't expect the reaction. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You knew Francis was old as dirt because y'all got to be damn near in the grave to get elected in the first fucking place. You know that you motherfuckers is supposed to be here for a short time, not a long time. Y'all barely here for a good time. You're here for a good. So you was trying to put your feelers out to boost up your resume so that you could look the way that you do. You was looking at that papal Mercedes like, I want it. I want it. I got it. That's what you wanted. Because at the end of the day, you're still a person living in a secular society. See, I'm not one of those people that one is going to pretend like I forgot what it was like to be younger. Two, I'm not going to act as if worldly things don't start to look real shiny and beautiful to us anyway. You're in a job. You want a promotion. You did not become this. You did not go into this ministry, this corporation of a ministry to be stuck. You would have stayed in your hometown or even your home country and started working to make things better there if it was just placed upon your heart to do God's good work. No, you decided to move to a whole different country because that's what you were called to do. And anytime something big and splashy that made the news popped up, then you wanted to be in the forefront. You were boosting your resume in order to catch the eye of the committee. It's fine. Hey, don't get into a career field where you just want to be stagnant at entry level. But don't act like it was nobility that made you fucking do it. It wasn't. It wasn't. Y'all like the staff and the security and the cars and the jewelry and the bedazzled Bibles and the new hats and the new wardrobe of being a pope. Oh, did you want politically correct here? This ain't the right place for you. Go ahead and back off and step back into the bushes right now. It's what you want. And you want people hanging on your every word. You want your ideals to be the ideals of the church. That's what you want. That's what you want. You want people to live how you envisioned in their mind the world should live. Because I don't know how you giving advice on shit that you've never experienced. You ain't never been married. Technically, you ain't never had a date. Technically, you ain't never swapped undercarriage juices with nobody. You ain't raised nobody. You really haven't mentored anybody. You just taken inventory of the sins people did. And you witnessed people's blessings like we window shop Rodeo Drive. But at the end of the day, you want say so over other people. Just say that. Just say that. It's no, it's just like when people kill me going, I got into the military because I wanted to fight for our freedom. When was the last time the U.S. military fought for U.S. freedoms? How you gonna call yourself the land of the free and then continuously every fucking year say that our military is fighting for our where? Okay, so we got black smoke. No pope has been elected just yet. Good. And pizza. Every day, every day they make it so difficult for me to. Mm. You stand up people's throat. I, mhm. Real quick, there is an update regarding day 3 of jury selection for the Diddy trial. There will not be any type of court tomorrow. They're sticking a pause in it. They're just going to do their objections so that they can officially pick their jury Friday so we can get things rolling bright and early next week. That update, all of that information is posted to YouTube and to my TikTok page, all linked in the bios. Uh, but there is another infamous trial going on that I'm trying to bring to you all. Most of the updates for this trial are on live. So if you go to the Midday catch ups, whether on YouTube or on Substack, you can find the information there. And what trial is that? Karen Reed. Uh, so, controversial data expert takes stand in Karen Reed trial after defense calls her not reliable. I mean, she liked to talk to everybody she ain't supposed to talk to. But let's get caught up on some facts before we get into what happened today. Karen Reed is facing second-degree murder charges in the January 2022 death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Yes, through all of the coverage of this, they keep referring to him just like that. Boston police officer, Boston police officer. Like we're gonna forget that he's a fucking Boston cop. We know he's a Boston cop that likes his coffee black, no cream. We got it. Okay? He probably hung out at Wahlburgers and visited his grandma on Sunday for Sunday dinner with another coffee. Reed pleaded not guilty to allegedly ramming O'Keefe with her Lexus SUV and leaving him to die in a snowstorm following a drunken argument. Have I been drunk? Yes. Have I been drunk and pissed off? Now, I'm the type of person. My drunkenness is contingent upon who is around and the mood that's going around. You start pissing me off, I I'm trying to murder you with my tongue, meaning I'm going to verbally eviscerate you. I'm not going to lay hands on you because it's a crime. It's a crime. And do I look like I want to be in a jumpsuit that somebody else gave me that I can't add my little zhuzh to? Absolutely the fuck. And I want to come and go as I please. I want to sleep when I want to, and I want my snacks. The judge declared a mistrial after jurors were unable to reach a verdict last year. Reed's defense includes Alan Jackson, David Yannetti, and Victoria George. Hank Brennan is the special prosecutor representing the Commonwealth. Testimony has entered its third week with several key witnesses, including retired Canton Police Lieutenant Paul Gallagher, meteorologist Robert Gilman. We talked about Robert Gilman yesterday on the midday recap, and State Police Lieutenant Kevin O'Hara taking the stand on Tuesday. Oh, there's a lot. Okay, there we go. So, prosecution calls Massachusetts state trooper to the witness stand. Judge Beverly Canone called court into session on Wednesday morning with both Karen Reed and John O'Keefe's families sitting in the front row in the gallery. Broken taillight blunder, more pieces than expected in Karen Reed evidence bag. Prosecutor Hank Brennan called Massachusetts State Police Trooper Connor Keefe to the witness stand on Wednesday morning. Keefe is assigned to the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office and was sent to 34 Fairview to investigate the crime scene after John O'Keefe was found frozen to death in the front yard. During his testimony, Keefe held up 6 pieces of evidence found at the crime scene: O'Keefe's black sneaker and pieces of broken vehicle taillight, noting a third piece of the red tail light was not initially placed in the bag. Do you know if the other piece in the bag is a piece that broke off? Brennan asked. Do you know how that arrived there? I do not, Keefe said. Following a brief delay, Keefe was instructed to place the third piece of the broken tail light in a separate bag upon leaving the stand. My thing is, if you didn't hit nobody, how did you break your tail light? And that's a tail light. Like, white women, stop hitting motherfuckers with cars. Like, y'all didn't learn from the woman who ran over, backed over, ran over, backed over, ran over, backed over, ran over, backed over her husband. There was like, I believe, a dentist. Like, did it in the parking lot of his job. So, no, orange is not my color. So, Trooper grilled by Karen Reed's defense on work with Michael Proctor, John O'Keefe's autopsy. During cross examination by defense attorney David Yannetti, Massachusetts State Police Trooper Connor Keefe was grilled on his working relationship with former investigator Michael Proctor. Keefe reported to Proctor during the initial investigation into O'Keefe's death, with Keefe compiling video evidence from C.F. McCarthy's and the Waterfall Bar and Grill. Proctor was then tasked with analyzing and writing reports based on the footage provided by Keefe. Were you one of the newer members of the unit as of January of 2022? Yannetti asked. Yes, Keefe said. Then Trooper Michael Proctor had more experience than you did as of January 29th, 2022, correct? Yannetti continued. He could have, Keefe said. He'd been on the job longer. He could have. You know what? We just go. We gonna keep going through this. Yannetti then went on to question Keith on his conversations with medical examiner Dr. Irene Scorti-Bello during John O'Keefe's autopsy. Did you talk to Dr. Scorti-Bello during the autopsy? Yannetti asked. Yes, Keith said. And you gave her your information, if you don't want to call it input, correct? Yannetti said. Yes. And at the end of the autopsy, you left without her ruling it a homicide. However, prosecutor Hank Brennan objected before Keefe could provide an answer. O'Keefe's manner of death remains undetermined, with the cause ruled as blunt force trauma to the head and hypothermia. So he was knocked out and froze to death. Okay. Defense asked to cross-examine data expert cites findings on Google search are not reliable. In a heated hearing without the jury present, prosecutor Hank Brennan and defense attorney Robert Alessi sparred over the Commonwealth's request to allow data expert Dr. Jessica Hyde to be called as a witness in Karen Reed's trial. Alessi asked Judge Beverly Canone for permission to cross-examine Hyde on her access to data from Apple and overall methodology. Alessi pointed to Hyde's investigation into the timing of Jen McCabe's Google search, how long to die in the cold? I think controversial data experts explains findings on timing of how long to die in the cold search. Following a tense back and forth between defense attorney David Alessi and prosecutor Hank Brennan regarding upcoming testimony, data expert Dr. Jessica Hyde was called to the witness stand. In a hearing without the jury present, Alessi told Judge Beverly Canone to allow the defense to cross-examine Hyde on her use of a third-party software to investigate the timing of Jennifer McCabe's Google search, how long to die in the cold. Now, it was misspelled. It was spelled HOS, to die in the cold. I'm not an idiot, so I'm reading it how she meant it because we know it's going to, Alessi argued that a Maryland court found Hyde's methods to be unreliable in a separate case. Canone ruled the defense could cross-examine Hyde, but cannot ask questions pertaining to the Maryland case. There are a lot of cases they're not allowing things to be asked about. Some of these cases, I can see why the judge is saying that. Some of them, not so much. Like if this expert has already been proven unreliable, let them prove that she's unreliable. I'm not defending anybody. I'm just saying, let the truth be the truth. Give the people all the information that they need. Hyde began her testimony by explaining that McCabe's web browser tab was open at 2:27 a.m. on January 29, 2022. There's a timestamp for the search. How long to die in cold? Hyde said. However, the timestamp isn't about active searches. It's about the time that the tab was either opened or moved to the background. Hyde went on to explain the software displays the most recent internet search with the time the tab was originally opened. So the time in the instance of It's Raining Men, oops, hold on. Screen just updated, so I guess there's another update. Hold on. Okay. So the time in the instance of the It's Raining Men video is the time that the video was moved to the background and the new tab took over as the tab that's active, Hyde said. And in that tab, the last search done is how long to die in cold because that database holds the current search. It constantly gets updated. Hyde testified that to an untrained eye, the software may be confusing when trying to determine an exact time a search was conducted, which is true, which is very true. And here's the thing. Um, this is why court cases can be a little tricky, and sometimes it seems like people are trying to skew things or try to have the back of someone. No, things can look very tricky. Things in your layman mind, it's like, oh, this is very cut and dry. No, but I want to know why. Why 2 o'clock in the morning? Why are you watching It's Raining Men? Like, is it It's Raining Man that you was watching, or It's Raining Man that you was watching? Like, don't look at me like that. Some of y'all some little nasty nasties. You so prosecution's phone experts braces for fire cross exam as Karen Reed trial returns from lunch. Second phone expert has how long search occurred after O'Keefe found undercutting defense. They couldn't spell none of this right. Uh, First, it was how long Ti died in CIKD, then how long Ty died in CIKD again, then Hos long to die in cold, and then that was again like Jesus Christ. Yeah, yeah, you got somebody was relaxed. Somebody was relaxed. During Dr. Jessica Hyde's direct examination by prosecutor Hank Brennan, Hyde testified that her investigation utilizing Celebrite's data analysis software concluded that Jennifer McCabe's Google search, How Long to Die in Cold, was not conducted at the time the internet browser tab was open at 2:27 a.m. on January 29, 2022. Can you tell us, to a reasonable degree of a scientific certainty, your opinion about whether that search, How Long to Die in Cold, occurred at 2:27 a.m. on January 2022, Brennan said. What I can state to a scientific degree of certainty is that a search occurred at 6:24 a.m. and was the last search in the tab that had been opened at 2:27 a.m., Hyde said. My question is, with y'all, like, what, like, they wasn't married. So what was the benefit of this? Like, just being pissed? Okay, I guess. And to round out things for today, and once again, do not forget to join me tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, on YouTube for Conversations with Taz. Today is Wisdom Wednesdays, and my illustrious guest to be talking about the subject, Are We Taking Care of Our Own? Will be the Angry Proletariat. Once again, that is 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central on YouTube. Hey T, for Conversations with Taz for with Wisdom Wednesdays, which occurs the first Wednesday of every month. And this week's guest, the Angry Proletariat, we will be discussing, Are we taking care of our own? So this coming from NPR, Trump administration plans to deport migrants to Libya. The Trump administration is planning to deport migrants without legal status to Libya, a country long plagued by armed conflict, a U.S. official has confirmed to NPR. However, Libyan officials for both the factions controlling separate swaths of the divided country denied they were in talks with the U.S., according to Reuters. This is nothing new for this administration. Let us not forget the wasted $2.2 million that was wasted because Hexaf decided to put heavy artillery on planes to ship to Ukraine, and nobody knew that they were supposed to be there or anything, and then they had to ground the planes. and giving treaties and things that are for Libya. This can't happen. Like, I guess the Trump administration is like, how much can we poke the bear before the ICC intervenes? I don't know. I don't know. The official was not authorized to speak publicly about the plans, but the news comes days after reports that Trump was eyeing the North African nation as well as other African countries, including Benin, Angola, and Eswatini, as places to send deportees. Earlier this week, Rwanda's foreign minister confirmed that the East African country was in talks with Washington about the same issue. All these countries have notorious human rights records, especially Rwanda. And Rwanda, they gon' Rwanda like to off people. And if you're gonna pay them, yeah. And that's the thing. President Musk and pseudo President Trump keep lying about the plans of Czar Homan and Emperor Stephen Miller regarding, cutting costs. No, they're cutting down our federal government to a skeleton crew to pay all these other countries to take the folks that they don't want here. All African countries. Oh, they love doing that. They love sending black faces over or utilizing black faces to carry out their savagery because it allows them to keep up the racial tropes. It allows them to keep up the tyranny while sitting back going, "Oh, we don't know what to do. We can't do anything." Why do you think Trump, who's like, "I'm the big bad man. I got this on lock," is like, Bukele, I can't tell Bukele what to do. I know that I told y'all that the US was the best and the greatest, and everybody is like afraid of us. But this brown man, me tell him what to do. Oh, no. He's so scary. So scary. Like, yeah. The deportations to Libya are expected to be carried out by the US military. And keep this in mind, a lot of countries have been willing to take back their own people for free with the stipulation that you do not degrade them by putting them on military planes. And let's not also forget that it costs way more to use the military's equipment. And while we're using military personnel and equipment, we are also making ourselves more vulnerable, not just in the United States within these borders, but around the globe, because we're pulling people from some of everywhere for dumb shit, while also actively decreasing the numbers we have in the military when we're already in a crisis of recruitment. Are we winning yet? Are we winning yet? Are y'all finally ready to admit that we are being led by a bunch of dumb fucks? A second U.S. official, not authorized to speak publicly about the plans, told NPR's Tom Bowman that the flight to Libya hadn't started yet. The plans involved the use of a single aircraft that wouldn't be full, the source says. Of course not. They aren't even taking enough time to fill up anything. They're just like, you, let's go. And they're going to do another thing of putting together this big production where they're hiding people's faces so that their families can't identify them, so the public can't identify them, and say, hey, they're not criminals. Hey, they have green cards, they have visas, they have citizenship. They don't want that, because if they were truly correct and that all of our woes were caused by people crossing the border, they would allow due process to happen, because they would lovely go. They would love to go. See, court documents. We got evidence. They're so horrible. Or if the current immigration, asylum, refugee process is the problem, if you're saying all these people are crossing the border, change the process, because the process for the United States is, hey, you got to make it here before we start the process. And then when we tried to streamline and speed up the process, the GOP was like, no, take the phones from them, let's not use the app anymore. The only thing they've sped up is deportation, which has caused our economy to shrink. And those of y'all nearing what should be retirement age, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Hope you were privileged enough to be able to save for your retirement and never have to borrow off of your retirement. Yeah, if you weren't aware, yeah, you can borrow off of your TCPs, off of your 401ks, off all of that. Hope you didn't touch any of it. Hope you're able to bounce back from the spastic stock market right about now. Mhm. Asked about the reports on Thursday, President Trump said, I don't know. You'll have to ask Homeland Security. And before y'all go, Trump's playing stupid again. First of all, Trump can't play anything. He is fucking stupid. But let me also remind y'all again, there are multiple power plays going on at once. The only ones that learned something from Trump presidency 1.0 was everybody that's surrounding him right now. This is why during the cabinet meetings, they're like, oh, you're such an inspiration. You've done all, because they know if they feed his ego, they can continue to run amok and garner power for themselves. He really does not know what's going on, but they also know that for the sake of his ego, he's going to lie, and his sycophants are going to lie for him. His sycophants are the same people who allowed their children, their friends, their parents, their grandparents, their co-workers, their neighbors, their loved ones to die due to COVID, and they continued to lie after. You need to understand what led to this, what has emboldened this. When Trump said, I don't know what's going on, that is the time that he's being honest. I need y'all to stop acting like he's a fucking Rhodes Scholar. That man couldn't spell me. This is somebody who said that the ultimate Dear John letter, aka the Declaration of Independence, was a powerful document of peace. This is somebody who said groceries was an old word, but also a new word that nobody was using until he used it. This is somebody who thinks that there's an Apple section in the grocery store, and that if you bring something to the register and then you don't have the money for it, you can just casually walk it back and everybody will just sit there and wait for that to happen. He thinks that the price of eggs is down large percentage points, but people are too broke to buy 2 apples. A civil war broke out in Libya in 2011, and the country is now effectively divided into two parts, each governed by different factions. Eastern Libya is controlled by military strongmen, while Western Libya is run by a UN-backed government. The country is itself a popular route for migrants from other parts of Africa who are trying to make it to Europe. The appalling treatment of these migrants have received at the hands of Libyan authorities has been widely condemned by rights groups. Neither the UN-backed Libyan government or the military government in the West have responded to any of NPR's requests for comment. And here's the thing. If you're going to go, hey, Taz, why would these countries that are in turmoil take on these people? Money. And it gives them soldiers that they don't have to give a damn about, that they don't have to answer any questions about, that they don't have to look any family members in the face and go, oopsie doodle, sorry they died. It's a tale as old as time. Like other countries may not have chattel slavery or slavery at all when it comes to, prisoners of war, but they will use you. You are expendable to them. You got that right, Michael. As part of its crackdown, the Trump administration has been seeking to deport migrants without legal status to third countries. And here's the thing, once again, I need you to keep in mind, they are making getting citizenship more difficult. They are removing all of the safeguards, absolutely, to human trafficking. So when they're like, oh, we're removing people without legal status, it's all about the wording. Because if you just focus on the wording like people focus on headlines, you won't notice the difference. You'll be pissed at the wrong shit, at the wrong people, looking in the wrong direction. Several Latin American countries have already taken in deportees, including El Salvador and Panama. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem told lawmakers on Tuesday that she signed new agreements with El Salvador and Colombia during recent visits there because she just likes to go down there and get a tan and parade herself around the men that she believes are just going to oogle, oogle, oogle. And she's going to take, her pictures where she's going to cosplay Barracuda Barbie. Like she's the great Terminator, and she's gonna come back over here because none of these cabinet members have done the jobs that they were confirmed to do. We have a Secretary of State whose job has been spliced and diced and chopped and screwed so much that there are multiple people doing his job that other countries don't even know who to send a fucking email to get shit done. And people are like, can he handle all of these titles? He just has the fucking titles. He doesn't have the workload. Like, let's be real. He's not Henry Kissinger. I mean, thank goodness he's not Henry Kissinger for a multitude of reasons. But he's not handling the actual workload. That's the thing. He's not handling the workload. Marco barely a U.S. citizen because his grandmother that came here, she got through from the skin on her chinny chin chin because she wasn't smart enough at the time to get through the immigration legislation that was coming through because the United States is so fucking pathetic that there have been times that they're like, if we deem that you're not smart enough, you can't be a citizen here, knowing that we create, harbor, and protect some of the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet. Hell, we got a whole cabinet full. We got a whole administration full of dumb fucks. But no, we have a special envoy doing a big chunk of the Secretary of State's job. We still have a VP and a SecDef using Signal. And Kristi Noem, she just chilling with ICE. And why do we have Border Patrol and ICE? Because, wasting money, wasting fucking time. And then we're deporting members of ICE and Border Patrol. We're deporting members of the military and disqualifying members of the military. The agreement with Colombia enables sharing of biometric information to identify people the Department of Homeland Security aims to remove from the U.S. A memo signed by the Secretary in El Salvador allows for the sharing of fugitives' criminal records. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told reporters last month that the U.S. administration is working with other countries to say, we want to send you some of the most despicable human beings, and the further away from America, the better, so that they can't come across the borders. Well, you're putting them in prison. I don't know how they're going to get back across the border. But if you're saying that they are some of the most despicable, how would you know if they're despicable or not if you are not providing them with due process? And even if you want to remove due process, let's play devil's advocate real quick, okay? You're not even certain of who you're deporting. There's court documents confirming this. This is why attorneys are being let go because they're like, hey, I'm not going to lie under oath. You're not stating what these crimes are. You have no confirmation of these crimes. You're making a determination based off of tattoos. And y'all want to know where they got these tattoos from? Because they're using keyword searches and AI. There's a gentleman over in the UK that they just decided he looks like a gang member. He has tattoos like I have tattoos. Let me explain. Each tattoo has a meaning. You may look at them and just think that they're willy-nilly and aren't connected. And they made a list compiling of the tattoos that they could see on this man's body and decided these were gang tattoos. On top of people, basing things off of television shows and movies that they've seen and what they fantasize gang life would be about. Because they can't fathom that there are gangs out here that don't have tattoos, colors, jewelry, nothing that identify them. It's a if you know type of thing. But that's not featured on Fast and Furious or Criminal Minds, Law and Order, NCIS. So, yeah. But we're all caught up. Um, any other headlines for today on YouTube and on TikTok? There is today's headlines for today. You can go and get caught up even further there. Once again, black smoke from the papal conclave today. So no pope has been selected. I will keep you updated as best as I can. Once again, 7 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central on Substack. We will be going over Savage Inequalities. We're still on chapter 2. We'll be taking it there. Fast and Furious coming up as well. Hey, and then at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central on YouTube, Conversations with Taz for the monthly version of Wisdom Wednesdays. We will be going live there. And the topic is, are we taking care of our own? So I will see you all there. As always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Now go out and get into some good trouble. But remember, no type of trouble that requires bail, not in this economy,